Hi folks, this is Astronomy Live, and I would like to address the formal apology to Astronomy Live posted by Chris Potter yesterday, March 13th.
Good afternoon, it's Chris Potter. It is March 13th, 2017. I would like to apologize to Astronomy Live, aka Scott Ferguson, for any inappropriate comments that I made on Scott Chacon's Nibiru channel 2016 on February 28th, 2017.
Okay, so the video he's referring to, he talked about wanting to cause me brain damage and said that if I were anywhere near him, he would bash my head in until the point that I had brain damage. He also talked about how he punches on that punching bag behind him every day, waiting for someone like me. And in this video, he starts off with what appears to be an apology to me for those remarks. But really, I think it's just an excuse to make sure that I can't refer to those remarks in the future, because otherwise he'll simply say, "Oh, I apologized for that." But let's hear what he says immediately after.
My response is merely an emotional reaction to comments you made.
Okay, so here he is justifying his own threats, saying it was merely an emotional reaction to my comments, as if my comments somehow justify his response, and he was being completely reasonable.
On WTF Sky's Hangouts Live through September 2016 through March 2017.
Okay, so the videos he's referring to from last year to this year are videos I have been doing addressing the SDO eclipse season, predicting the end of the last eclipse season last year, and predicting the start of the first eclipse season this year. Let's see what those videos actually look like. Here's one of them. This is the video I made predicting the start of this year's first eclipse season. I did so using my own observations of the SDO spacecraft. This is one of the images being astrometrically solved. This is an image from my own telescope, and you can see the SDO spacecraft is a dot here. I solved the orbit myself using my own observations, and used that to calculate when the eclipse season should start, using just the math based on the orbital elements. Not Starry Night, not Celestia, but my own calculations, straight from the orbital elements. And using those calculations, I predicted that the eclipse season would start on February 14th. And sure enough, in this video I reviewed the results of that prediction and showed how well it matched up with reality. And you can see that the sun is starting to be eclipsed here by the Earth, and the extent to which the sun appears eclipsed at any moment in time is dependent on the wavelength of light, because Earth's atmosphere is extremely opaque to these extreme UV wavelengths, but the extent to which it is opaque varies depending on the wavelength. So some wavelengths will appear to block out more of the sun than others, because the Earth's atmosphere is more opaque at some of these wavelengths than others. And I discussed that in this video and showed why things were behaving the way that they were. And for whatever reason, this factual prediction seriously upsets Chris Potter to the point that he feels the need to make threats. And he's not the only one. I've received other death threats from other people, like this one from Brockwolf. He says, "I will kill you, do you understand, son of beach, Astronomy Live." So this is ridiculous. And as far as Chris Potter's concerned, his initial anger at me came because of these SDO eclipse season predictions. And in the debate that I had with Scott Cohn, I talked about these predictions, and I talked about his physicist and how she was presenting completely false information for whatever reason. And I talked about the fact that I know it's false because I've done the math myself. I've shown the math, and based on that math, you can actually predict the behaviors of these eclipse seasons that she claims is unusual, the fact that the eclipses are not exactly 6 months apart, because the orbit does precess over time due to torquing from Earth's equatorial bulge as well as other factors, and the fact that the eclipse season times are not 12 hours apart in adjacent eclipse seasons, which I said was due to sidereal time, and she actually has admitted that in a paper she sent to Chris Potter. However, she continues to maintain that the eclipse seasons are abnormal for all the other reasons, including the fact that they are not exactly 6 months apart, even though I've not only addressed that, I've actually accurately predicted when the eclipse seasons would stop and start using nothing but my own observations and my own calculations. And this, he feels, justifies his frankly crazy remarks talking about beating my head in, and this anger he has towards me. So now he's about to make a different kind of threat. Let's see.
By the way, continued efforts from you and your friends will only be directed to YouTube's legal team and my personal attorney, who you don't think exists. Chris Potter, have a good day. Thanks again. Oh, by the way, take care.
So I will let all of you decide for yourselves whether you feel that these videos predicting the start and stop of the eclipse seasons and explaining why they're not exactly 6 months apart, explaining why adjacent eclipse seasons are not 12 hours apart in timing, explaining why the sun appears to be blocked to different extents on different wavelengths, whether you feel that stating these facts justifies threats of physical violence, legal threats, and all the rest. I personally don't see how this justifies any sort of reaction like that. I'm just stating the facts and setting the record straight, as you see in this video from last year.
Months apart? Well, there's a couple reasons. One is that Earth's orbit is not perfectly circular, and its speed will vary throughout the year. It moves a little bit faster when it's closer to the sun, and a little bit slower when it's farther away from the sun. So not only will the eclipse seasons not match up with perfect 6 month intervals, but they also won't be the same. The spacing between them will be different. SDO's orbit is also not perfectly fixed relative to the stars. It has nodal precession, which decreases the longitude of the ascending node over time. This is caused by Earth's equatorial bulge, tugging on that orbit. And so because of that, the eclipse seasons will get a little bit sooner each year. And overall, the average length of time between eclipse seasons is actually less than 6 months as a result of that. You cannot make approximate calculations without accounting for these factors and expect precise results, particularly when you're projecting these things over months of time.
So you can decide for yourself whether you feel that sort of presentation deserves these kinds of attacks. I don't see how. And not only am I explaining these things, but I'm predicting the behavior of the SDO eclipse seasons perfectly with my own calculations and my own observations. And this thoroughly debunks his physicist, and I think that's why he's so upset. Physical threats of violence have not silenced me, so now he's going to try legal threats, which is equally absurd. There is no basis for YouTube's legal department to come after me. I haven't done anything wrong. But I am going to change how I do my videos going forward. I will no longer address him or anyone else presenting his kind of information by name. That does not mean I will not continue to debunk these videos. I will not be silenced. I will continue to do my videos as I've always done, presenting the truth. And I will debunk the claims that channels like his produce. But I will not address him by name. I will not give him the satisfaction of hearing me address him by name. I will not give Scott Cohn the satisfaction of seeing me show parts of his videos anymore. I will simply take the information he's putting out there and show where it's wrong without even giving his channel any credit for it, any acknowledgement that these channels are where they're coming from. I'll simply address the claims. And if they want to try to come after me with legal attacks or physical attacks, they can try, but I will not be silenced. So, with that, I hope you all have a nice day. Clear skies, folks.